lands, silence is the herald of an approaching bloodbath. But this time, the forest hides more than the clash of iron. It conceals the whisper of a 1,000-year-old secret, from a tactical ambush to a test of mercy that will change the course of history. Is true leadership about slaying an enemy, or discovering an ancient bond with them? Hold your breath and watch. The hunt has begun. The forest was a cathedral of absolute, suffocating stillness. The air was thick with the scent of pine needle and damp earth, but underneath it lay the metallic tang of impending violence. Under the unified command of the great leaders, the warriors of the mountain hawks and river wolves moved in a single, silent line. Their feet, clad in soft leather, barely kissed the dry leaves. Every breath was a measured whisper, every heartbeat a synchronized drum, hidden beneath ribs of war. They were no longer just men. They were a collective shadow, an extension of the forest itself, moving to execute a tactical ambush that had been rehearsed in the darkest hours of the night. High above, nestled in the swaying crowns of ancient, towering pines, the archers remained frozen. They were statues of cedar and sinew, their eyes unblinking as they tracked the movement below. Their arrows were nocked, the feathers brushing against their cheeks, but not a single bowstring creaked. Below them, in the sea of long, golden grass, the ground warriors lay in total camouflage. Their bodies were painted with the colors of the earth, ochre, charcoal, and clay. Their focus was so absolute that they ignored the cold scales of snakes slithering across their ankles. For the sake of the mission, they had shed their humanity and become the predators of the tall grass. The tension reached a breaking point. The atmosphere was a bowstring, pulled to its absolute limit. Then it happened. A sharp, piercing whistle cut through the canopy like a lightning bolt. It was the signal. The silence did not just break, it exploded. A coordinated cavalry charge thundered from the eastern flanks, the hooves of the horses striking the ground like rhythmic thunder, kicking up clouds of dust and dry earth. The unseen foe, caught in the center of a lethal pincer movement, had nowhere to run. What followed was a brutal, desperate collision of worlds. The obsidian-tipped spears of the ancestors against the strange, cold metal armor of the intruders. The forest floor, once a place of peace, was transformed into a chaotic theater of clashing spirit and iron. The cries of warriors and the clatter of steel echoed through the valley, a symphony of survival. As the echoes of the struggle began to fade into a hollow silence, an elder, moved by a sudden, inexplicable pull of intuition, separated from the main group. He walked toward a nearby sacred cave, a place that felt older than the trees themselves. Inside, away from the carnage and the smell of blood, he discovered an ancient secret. By the flickering golden light of a dry torch, he gazed upon a petroglyph, etched deep into the living stone. His breath hitched in his chest. It was a revelation that sent chills through his very marrow. A prehistoric carving depicting two great birds and a flowing river, proving a historical link between the allied tribes that predated their oldest songs and oral histories. They were not merely allies by choice. They were brothers by a blood oath, sworn before the mountains were formed. This discovery transformed the war. It was no longer a defense of land, but a crusade for their shared soul. As the dust of the battlefield settled into a decisive victory, the warriors emerged from the thinning smoke, dragging a prize, a mysterious prisoner. He was dressed in alien, heavy clothing that shimmered with an unnatural luster. He looked at the warriors with eyes of fear and confusion. To the Kabyle, he was a creature from another realm, a living riddle standing amidst the ancient trees. The scene shifted back to the center of the camp. Inside the main teepee, beneath the dancing shadows of the central fire, the atmosphere turned cold and psychological. This was the silent interrogation. No words were exchanged, for their languages were worlds apart. Instead, the leaders used the universal language of signs, gestures, and primitive maps, drawn in the loose, dark soil of the tent floor. Slowly, as the fire crackled, a shocking truth began to take shape. Through the dirt-drawn symbols, a shared past was revealed. A connection, perhaps a forgotten migration or an ancient trade, that bridged the gap between the captors and their captive. The heavy atmosphere in the tent shifted. The fire of hatred was slowly replaced by the heavy weight of a profound realization. In a high-stakes moment that would be carved into the memories of everyone present, the great leader stood. He faced the ultimate test of power, the choice between the easy path of vengeance and the difficult path of humanitarian mercy. Honoring the ancestral wisdom he had just seen mirrored in the cave carvings, he made a move that left his warriors breathless. He chose to release the prisoner, but he did not send him into the wilderness to die. He provided the man with dried meat, a water skin, and a sturdy cloak. It was a gesture that defined his leadership, not by the enemies he had broken, but by the humanity he had refused to lose. He was teaching his people that a true warrior's greatest weapon is his heart. The chapter closes with the tribe in a state of absolute, vibrating vigilance. The release of the prisoner was not an act of surrender or weakness, but a calculated movement toward a higher moral ground. However, everyone knew that mercy often comes with a price. The threat was far from over. It was merely changing shape. While the shaman sat motionless by the sacred fire, his eyes rolled back as he read the swirling indigo patterns of the smoke for the enemy's next move. The warriors did not rest. Under the silver glow of the moon, they underwent high-speed drills. Their horses galloped through the perimeter of the camp, and the flash of obsidian spears reflected the starlight. The unbroken alliance between the mountain hawks and the river wolves was now forged in something stronger than iron. It was forged in blood, secret history, and a shared future. They stood as a unified wall against the gathering storm on the horizon. The Redlands were no longer just a territory. They were a sanctuary, a holy ground protected by the mercy and the might of those who truly knew its secrets. The prisoner is released, but the shadow of war only grows darker. Can the terrifying end envisioned by the shaman in the smoke be stopped? The saga continues for the fate of the Redlands and this unbroken alliance. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to witness the great clash in the next episode. This is where true warriors gather.